Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Great Black Speakers Podcast, where we connect through conversation. I am your host, Lawrence Watkins. I am the founder and CEO of Great Black Speakers Bureau. I'm also the president and chief operating officer of the Black Business School. So today we're bringing you a very special guest in the real estate space. We are speaking with Jessica Myers, and Jessica is the co-founder of Epic Collective, a company that helps connect commercial and multifamily real estate investors with cash flow properties. So, Jessica, how are you doing today?
Hi, it's great to speak with you. It's a wonderful day out here.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you're based in Atlanta, is that correct?
Yes, we're based in Atlanta, Georgia, and this is where I grew up, born and raised, and I love it here. It's no better place to be right now in this time.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit. Talk about just what Epic Collective does and what's your role, in, I guess, in the entire real estate ecosystem.
One of the things is that we work. I know for me personally, when I got started in real estate investing, it was very intimidating because you want this huge portfolio. I want to own millions of dollars worth of assets, but where do you get started? How do you get involved? And that's one of the reasons why we created a collective, so that we can bring other investors together, so that we can collectively invest in large commercial and multifamily projects to create cash flow and dividends for your family, so that you don't have to worry about doing it on your own, or where do you get started, or saving for 40 or 50 years just to even get your first project. So that's really the goal, is to get to a large asset pool a lot sooner than you would on your own. And you can do more epic projects collectively. And that's what we do. We bring investors together to invest in these big epic projects.
So that's interesting. So how did you get started doing this in the first place? Had you been in real estate a really long time, or were you just in like another sector of the industry? But what made
So
you get to this particular area of the industry in general?
So honestly, I actually started out as a wholesaler. I started as a wholesaler, and as a wholesaler, you're finding all of these properties and you're fixing up the numbers, you're analyzing the deal, you're doing the hustle and bustle, a lot of the grunt work, and you lay out all the statistics and the analytics for the investor to decide on. And when I realized that the investor had to go through the same process of getting money as I did, I'm like, I might as well be going to get the money myself than to solely just present this opportunity to investors. And then, they're the ones that walk away with a huge cash flow. So understanding how to, the art of the deal, really putting together all the specifics of how to connect with sellers, how to connect with buyers, and more importantly, how you connect with people to fund the deal, to make it happen, as well as the people with the knowledge and know-how to turn that deal over and flip it into a lucrative investment. So it's really corralling the team. I've always been a connector of resources in a sense, but I never really knew how to pinpoint it all together. Now, after working, like I said, as a wholesaler, I understood all elements involved. Being a wholesaler allowed me to understand and learn the industry. And essentially, I funded my own internship because I learned as I went, and I was able to see the art of structuring a deal, how to leverage bank capital, how to analyze the deal and what lenders look for, and then how to actualize the deal and transact it and make it happen. And that's ultimately how it grew, just out of my curiosity of starting out as a wholesaler and growing into single family, growing into becoming a developer, and now working on commercial and multifamily projects.
That's interesting. Now, why did you start out with wholesaling in particular instead of going the whole agent route, getting your real estate license, that type of thing? Why wholesaling versus other means to get into the real estate space?
Well, as you mentioned, being an agent, you have to go to school. And there is a certain level of education that you do need as a wholesaler, but a wholesaler was more attainable to me. It's a more easier point of access. It's a more easier way to get in without having to use any of your own funds. Versus as an agent, you still have to go to school, you have to pass a test. And honestly, a lot of what I envision doing of working with investors and things like that, you're technically not really allowed to do it as an agent. So you lose that autonomy that you have as a wholesaler, to be able to work with investors. So that's why I went that route, just because it's an easier gate of entry. And you learn a little bit more. As an agent, you're more dealing with the pretty houses. I wanted to deal with the ugly houses because my passion has always been to really impact and change our communities. So many times you drive by a vacant or abandoned home and you're just like, oh, somebody needs to fix that. My dad always taught me that somebody is you. So you can't necessarily put the onus on someone else. And the agent, they're generally more involved when the house is pretty. I wanted to be involved and be a part of the solution before it got to that point.
Okay, so let's talk about that then. So, in regards to, I guess, a couple things, right? So, when it comes to you making that transition from being a wholesaler to an actual investor and working on these projects, what did that process look like in terms of, I guess, a transition of your mindset from being a wholesaler to, I guess, a full-on investor? And then in addition to that, talk about the transformation of these projects, both from a residential standpoint, multifamily standpoint, and then also the commercial standpoint as well.
Okay. So to answer your question, for one thing is really having a team around you, knowing who the power players are. That's what I mean by the art of the deal and making sure that your structure is sound. Because you definitely want to make sure that you have those resources in place that can help you get to success. And by team, I mean, cool. If I find a property, who's going to fix it? Who's going to buy it? Who's going to, like, you want to make sure that all those elements of a team are together and present that can help you transform and take this property to the next level. Because I think that can be the disconnect as well when someone sees a property and they don't know where to go because they don't have their team together. So
Mhm.
all it is a matter of understanding, looking at the framework and a higher view, a bird's eye view of the deal and what it takes to bring it all together. And those are the true elements that it takes to really go from being a wholesaler to now, maybe I can do this on my own. Maybe now I can build my own team and build my own community because you cannot do it by yourself. You can't. You need to enroll someone to help, especially if you're starting out of nowhere. You definitely need to make sure that you do have a team in place to in order to grow from being a wholesaler. Because as a wholesaler, you're just finding the deal, and then the investor takes it the rest of the way, or a buyer takes it the rest of the way. So if you want to transition, now you need to see what type of team did that buyer have in place, or what type of resources did they have in place? How can I now learn how to set that up for myself so that now I can pull that together? That's what we created through Epic. We created a simple solution where it's a team process like, hey, you come with us. Here's how you find a deal. Here's how you analyze that deal. And here's how you move forward and you transact that deal. And so those are some of the resources that we've been able to do. And the latter part of the question, if you could repeat that, please, as far as
Yeah, so yeah, no, that was a great answer in regards to, building your team up when you become a real estate investor. But the second part, really, I just want to get into the opportunities in regards to these transformations, right? So from a commercial standpoint, a multifamily standpoint, or even a residential standpoint, what are the opportunities of going to, I guess, the quote unquote ugly houses or something like that, versus going to, I guess, the finished product in terms of profit potential and community impact as well?
so to your point, as far as I guess speaking to the difference between the single family and the commercial, is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, or the difference between, so I want you just to talk about the opportunities from a single family perspective, right, or multifamily perspective and commercial perspective, but specifically dealing with working with properties that aren't in the tip top of shape, right? So working with properties that actually need to be
Gotcha. Okay.
transformed.
Okay. So in regard, okay, I got it now. So we're talking about value add opportunities. And ultimately what that is, so for example, let's say a neighborhood is worth $100,000, right? What I want to do as a wholesaler or someone that is looking to improve the community, I find the community eyesore and I transition that eyesore. And that's where I work with the seller or the owner of that property. And either we come to an agreement that, hey, can I pay you a portion or pennies on the dollar to what the home is worth so that I can now transition this home into a property that's worth closer to 100,000. So for example, I may come and offer them 50, 60,000. Because mind you, I'm going to have to put work into the property to get it back up to that $100,000 value. So that's what we call value add opportunities. The worse the condition of the property, the more you can negotiate down to the pennies on the dollar for the purchase of the property. And then you're able to come in and you're able to fix it up. And then that's where, we're able to work with investors through the renovation process. And then either we bring in someone to handle the cash flow. We'll bring in a tenant to live into the property. And now you have a cash flow property, or we can sell it. So there is several parts and ways to be involved. From we identify the property, we transition the property and add the value to increase the value back up to that $100,000 mark. And then you're either able to sell it or keep it as a cash flow opportunity. And the name of the game is cash flow. It's keeping it, because I'd rather have $40,000 over time than have $40,000 at once. You definitely want to make sure, because that's how, when you think about residual income, when you think about cash flow, you want to think about how many layers can I pack on. $100 here, $700 here, $800 here. And those commercial projects give you the flexibility to do that at once. So if I got a 40 unit, that's a little different than getting a single family. So now I'm able to get $100, $200 and layer that in to then build my residual income over time. And by doing that through these value add properties, I'm able to purchase the property well under market value. So we're going at that $100,000 number. If I'm able to purchase between 40 and 50,000, put the work into it, I have built in equity into the property, so that when I do sell it after I've done my cash flow for an extended period of time, I now can cash out then as well. So I've had my tenant or the residents that have been paying in it over time, been paying equity into my project. So now when I sell it, I can now eat off of it again. And those are the types of deals that we're able to work with people through Epic Collective. And honestly, it started out with me being a wholesaler. It started out with me understanding and searching and finding these deals. And that's really the root of what that part was able to do for me. I was able to get my own education. So I was able to find the deal, understand how to analyze the deal, and get creative with how we structure the deal and get the cash flow, as well as selling it on the back end.
Got you. And when we get back, I want to talk a little bit more about Epic Collective and how you go about bringing people and investors together so they can invest in larger projects and why it's important to do so. And also, I want to talk about why is now the time to unify Black economics through real estate investing. But before we do that, I just want to remind everyone that I'm here with Jessica Myers. Jessica is the co-founder of Epic Collective, a company that helps connect commercial and multifamily real estate investors with cash flow properties. Today, we're talking all about the real estate industry, wholesaling in terms of getting started, and then where do people go from there after they get initially started in the industry. So if you guys like this video and like what Jessica is talking about, please go ahead and show us some love by pressing the thumbs up button. Also, please share this video with friends and family who may be interested in this topic as well. And make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you would like to receive great financial content moving forward on a variety of subjects. So let's go big picture, and then I want to talk a little bit about how you guys do what you do with Epic Collective. So, we titled this presentation or this interview today, Why Now is the Time to Unify Black Economics Through Real Estate Investing. So with all that's going on in the world, with COVID, with, protests all around the world, really. So you have protests and, protesting police brutality and racial injustice and inequality. Talk about, from your perspective, why now is the time to really, for Black people to come together and get use group economics to get into real estate more.
I actually attended the Black Movie Night a couple of weeks ago. I think that was 2 weeks ago now, with Boyce Watkins TV, and we watched the documentary on Black Wall Street. And while I heard about Black Wall Street, I didn't see it to that level and that in depth. And when I tell you that solidified even more why now is the perfect time than ever. I used to hear like, oh, integration was some of the worst things that could have ever happened. And I never quite understood why, but now I get it, because now is the time more than ever that you take your 10,000, you take your 10,000. And if we're able to bring our 10 of us got 10,000 and we're able to bring it and make 100,000, we're able, I see now that it's a city, a whole city in Georgia for sale. If we're able to take our group and collective economics, we can really build a system and an ecosystem that is not reliant upon anyone outside of our community. That's why now more than ever, it's so important to come together, get a family, get a group, connect. That's what we're doing here at Epic Collective. If it's not us, choose somebody to partner with, because it's almost like no man left behind. We create a buddy system where we're all growing together. We can have the collective ethos and the collective economics if we work together. You have the people that are the brain trust. You have the people that have the knowledge about where to invest the funds, how to make the capital grow. Because now more than ever, it's a lot of government funding that's out there for grabs. It's a lot of resources that are now available to us that have never been available at any other lifetime. You get a specialist, somebody who's knowledgeable about how to make that money grow. Because the last thing you want, money's going to get money sitting in your account can get taken due to inflation. Money sitting in your account have 6 months worth of cash flow in your account, but the rest of the money needs to be growing for you. And that's where it takes to have a team. And we collectively can now work on projects where I don't have to wait 10 or 20 years until I save it all on my own. But through group economics, we can do this together. And that's why now more than ever is important to actualize that and really have and take advantage to grow our economic footprint here so that we're not as reliant upon people outside of our community. I feel like that's what's been an issue in what we have going on, is that we don't have the infrastructure built in our own community to handle these, to handle such investments. We don't have the knowledge available to handle these things. So that's why it's important that we're able to pull our resources together, our knowledge and everything else now more than ever, so that we're no longer dependent upon anybody outside of our community. That's what I love so much about the documentary. It showed that they were not relying on anything else. They were very self-sufficient. So that was definitely a beautiful thing about the movie, what really inspired and solidified all the more what we do now.
Sorry, I was on mute. So yeah, let's talk about what you guys do now and get specific to Epic Collective, right? So how do you guys go about collect or bringing together your group of investors? What strategies you use to make that happen? And then talk to the audience about what are some of the projects that you're working on.
So really, we're out here in the community connecting and networking with sellers. Our goal of what we like to do is find people that own site control to the project. And what we do is we come in. So for example, we're working on a project in Augusta. A friend of mine from Georgia State University actually owns the land. So he already owns the land. He, this whole time, is like, okay, cool, I'm gonna save up, I'm gonna wait so that I can get out there. But we can come in as a community, put our funds behind him, and we can partake in the residual income once the project is developed and up and running. It's a 12 unit in Augusta. He already owns the land. We raise the capital together, and together we can benefit off the cash flow from that project. Those are the types of opportunities that we deal with in Epic. We like to deal with people that own the project. They own the property already. So we're just able to come in and be that added resource to what they're already doing. That's where we get the best added value, because we don't necessarily have to go through the purchase process. Not to say that we don't, but connecting with other people that already own the land has been our secret sauce, if you will.
Now, that's a strategy that most people wouldn't have thought about, especially if you're new to investing. All right. So talk to the audience in regards to if they wanted to get started with real estate investing and build up to the level where you are, and continue to grow for years to come after that. So we can continue to work on much bigger projects. Where can they get started, and how do they get started?
So one of the biggest things, like I mentioned, understand where you are. I look at it as an analogy of planning a road trip. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. I love to travel. Let's say I want to go to New York. For one, I have to establish exactly where I am. Two, I have to establish exactly where it is that I want to go. Three, that's where I determine how will I get there. And those are 3 simple steps, but can really take you a long way. And so that applies to me. And that cool. I have to establish where I am. You need credit, you need money, and you need know-how. So cool. Maybe you don't have the know-how, but you need to have the credit or the money. Maybe you have the credit, then you need the money and the know-how. Maybe you have the money. So it's like you need to make sure that all of those elements are in place to move forward. And that's where you build from there. You understand where you are, then to know where you're going. Yes, people say that they want financial freedom, but how much is that? Really and truly, it's not $1 million that will make you financially free. Realistically, when I did the exercise, it really was like $12,000 a year that made me financially free because my bills weren't that high. Maybe for you it's 60,000, but you have to know what that number is to know what are my targets so that I'm not going to work out of I have to, but I'm going to work out of I want to. That's a totally different position. And it leads to a much happier life and peace of mind when you're doing it because you want to and not because you have to. But you have to understand what is that number that I desire to reach. And then the third thing is understanding what do you not have so that you can get to that point. Like what else do you need to get from point A to point B? So if I know I'm here in Atlanta, I want to get to New York, what do I need? I need a car. I need fuel. So those are now I'm starting to picture those things like, I know if I'm here, I know financial freedom for me is $60,000 to cover my bills. And by financial freedom, I'm like, what does it take to cover all of your bills at least 6 months or at least a year, whatever makes you the most comfortable. Once you have that, that is your target. That is what's going to be the thing to get you out of the rat race, right? Understanding what is going to be my thing that's going to get me financial freedom. Now, how do I get investments to get involved? And that's where Epic Collective comes to show you this is how you can start to build your portfolio. Are you going to get rich overnight off one deal? No. But it's about the gradual climb. It's about putting in those layers that we discussed when I was talking about the cash flow. So cool, this property nets me 100 in dividends. This property nets me 700 in dividends a month. And ultimately, before you know it, I'm building $5,000 a month, which nets me to my $60,000 a year that ultimately will buy my freedom. And that's the system approach that can help to get you out of the rat race. But understanding it's going to take doing it together, having a team, a specialist, having those elements that you don't have. If you have all of it, great, go help somebody else. But if you don't, that's where Epic Collective has devised a team to really help you get to ultimate success.
I love it. I love it. And yes, if you guys are liking what Jessica is talking about today with the real estate industry and why it's important for us to really, start getting more involved with real estate and real estate investing, please go ahead and press the thumbs up button. Show us some love so that the algorithm shows some love as well on YouTube. And please share this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. So Jessica, I know you have to get out of here. So I just want to do a few rapid fire questions from the audience. So just rapid fire, and we'll get through some of these questions. So you kind of already asked it in terms of getting started, but someone asked the best advice you can give to an 18-year-old who wants to get or who wants to do real estate investing full time. Would you give any different advice to an 18-year-old?
For one, stay hungry. Stay hungry. Like, honestly, I had someone reach out to me the other day. I just brought on another intern just because he was hungry. And I'm like, I love it. I love that energy. That's the energy that keeps me invigorated. It keeps me on my tippy toes where I like to coast and slide. And I realized, you know what? His hunger is what drives me to go harder. So your hunger, reach out to whoever it is that you admire. You can reach out to me on my social media or anybody else that you admire that's already doing what you want to do with that hunger and with that vigor. Stay hungry and find a valid business reason to interact with that person that you want to take on, and maybe seek mentorship. But you have to be providing skills and resources. How can you make things easier for them? How can you lighten the load? How can you add a valid business reason to them? And they will gladly teach you everything that you need to know to build your blueprint to success.
Love it. Someone asked, what's your website? Where can they find out more about you?
You can reach us at epiccollective.com. epiccollective.com, or reach out to us on Epic Collective on Instagram. Epic Collective, and that's Epic with a Q, EPIQ Collective, Epic Collective.
All right. Let's see. What do we have here next? I have enough money to buy a house, but I don't have enough to renovate it. Can Epic Collective help me?
Yes. So we actually help. Really, that's more the art of the deal. So it's like you have some of those elements, you just need a little bit more help, and we can show you about leverage and how to really make that happen for you. So we do offer consultative services, which will help you get up and started. So reach out to us through our Instagram page or our website to get more information.
All right. I like what Lututsi says. We need more information on how to obtain these government grants in real estate. So that's something we will definitely consider adding to the Black Business School. So thanks for that suggestion.
Yeah. And
Let's see.
there is definitely, you got to think about it. A lot of these initiatives to clean up communities or help entrepreneurs, they come from the federal government and they come down in way of grants. So you have a lot of local grants. They're literally grants at each level, because remember, each council member or local city member wants to improve the community. So definitely look at whatever resources your local councilman may have, your local government may have. Every local councilman, if you go to their website, they literally have a place on there for grants, because they want to give as much grants and showboat, hey, we're spending billions of dollars to improve our city. So that's where you go on and you can apply for those grants through your local government.
All right. And the last question, is this investing in a REIT or something more hands-on?
This is actually more of a fund that we're doing, and not necessarily a trust. But it is about collective economics and coming together to help fund these deals, to take them, and we can all partake in the cash flow that these deals generate and produce.
Wonderful. So Jessica, do you have any closing words that you'd like to tell our audience?
Like they always say, you give me 5 hours to chop down a tree, I'll spend the first 4 sharpening my axe. So make sure that you understand that it's more about mindset than anything. The knowledge of what it is to get involved in real estate is not that hard. It's not that complex. It's more so the mindset and the willingness to get started. So whatever sign you were looking for, here it is. Whatever hesitation you had, overcome it. This is the time to take action now. There has never been another time more prime for you to take the resources that are here for us to take advantage of. So take action today, whether it's with us or it's wherever it is. Make sure you take action and get started.
All right, Jessica, thank you so much for your time today. We've been speaking with Jessica Myers, the co-founder of Epic Collective, a company that helps connect commercial and multifamily real estate investors with cash flow properties. If you guys like this video, go ahead and press the thumbs up button, show us some love. And we like I said, thank Jessica for joining us today. If you would like more business training and education, please head over to our sponsor, the Black Business School, and that is theblackbusinessschool.com, where we don't just help you climb the corporate ladder, we help you build your own as well. What we do is help African Americans to obtain a culturally relevant yet practical education in all things wealth building at an affordable price. So whether you're looking to have more financial freedom in your life, you want to leave a legacy behind to your children, or you want to be financially secure going into retirement, we have courses and classes to help you out no matter what your financial goals are. So please head over to theblackbusinessschool.com. That is theblackbusinessschool.com. So on behalf of Jessica Myers, my name is Lawrence Watkins. You guys take care, be blessed, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thanks.